Taurus, avoid this color from May 14th to 16th or risk losing your money and power in 2025. There are people who are not meant to rush. They don't blaze forward like fire. They don't leap like the wind. They stand firm, like a 100-year-old tree, in the middle of a chaotic world. Their breath is steady, their eyes are grounded, and their hands always understand the value of every little thing. That is Taurus, the soul of stability, the guardian of lasting value, the embodiment of strength that never needs to shout but is always respected. You don't need to say much when you choose. Energy moves when you show up. Others feel safe. But here's something people rarely tell you, sometimes that very stability becomes a trap. Because the world doesn't stop. And when you believe too firmly that you are already enough, that is exactly when something as subtle as a color can misalign your entire financial, energetic, and value cycle. And if you're a Taurus hearing this, I want you to pause, not to panic, but to prepare. Because from May 14th to May 16th, 2025, you are about to enter a unique energetic phase, a time when Venus, your ruling planet, is being challenged by Mars, by Pluto, and by quiet vibrational zones that seem peaceful but are silently pulling you away from your true value axis. And if in those 3 days you wear the wrong color or carry shades that do not belong to you, you won't even realize that you're stepping into a long-term stagnation. Not because you failed, but because you no longer feel the urge to move forward. Taurus does not fall from weakness. You fall when you lose the drive to protect your own value. And the terrifying part is, the wrong color doesn't hurt you. It makes you feel fine. Fine enough not to question. Fine enough to stop seeking. Fine enough to mistake stillness for peace. And in that moment, opportunities pass by. Relationships stall. The flow of money slows down. Your investing intuition falls silent. You're still you, but no longer the version of you that the universe trusts to carry the force of value. Nostradamus once left a cryptic prophecy: when the keeper of treasure wears the color of illusion, gold will turn to sand and the throne will crumble into dust. For Taurus, color is not just aesthetic. It is the magnetic field radiating from your body. And if you wear a color that is out of sync with the energy of the upcoming 3 days, then you're not just dressing wrong, you're sending out the wrong signal to the entire energetic universe that's trying to move you forward. In Buddhist philosophy, there is a concept known as silent non-awakening, a state where the mind is quiet but there is no light. It makes you feel like there's nothing wrong, but also like there's nothing left to pursue. It is the silent death of once powerful souls who have fallen asleep inside a false sense of safety. And color is the first signal of that descent. You don't know why you're stuck. You just feel uninspired. You're not in pain, but you're no longer shining. That is the biggest warning for Taurus. And if lately, you've felt like you're doing everything right but seeing no results, if you've looked at your financial plans, the ones you built with your own hands, but felt no desire to begin, if people around you still respect you but no longer connect with you, then please don't blame yourself. Just take a moment to look at the colors you've been choosing lately. The next 3 days, May 14th, 15th, and 16th, are when you must choose again. Not noise, but frequency. Avoid colors that keep you stuck. Avoid colors that make you hold on to what should have been released. Avoid colors that push you to act impulsively and lose the roots of your value. And to do that, start with one small act that holds great karmic power. Comment right now, Taurus, avoid karma. This is how you declare to the universe, I am awake. Hit like if this message resonates with you. Subscribe to Buddhist Daily Wisdom so that you'll always be guided whenever your soul needs light. And share this video, not to make others follow your words, but so another Taurus can finally see the misalignment they've been carrying. You were not born to live in, almost right. You were born to fully embody the value that God engraved into your heart. And the moment you choose the right color is the moment the universe reopens the flow of money, relationships, and light that you truly deserve. Part 1, Why Taurus is being warned. During the 3 days of May 14th to May 16th, 2025, there is a strange paradox in Taurus's journey. You are the one who always knows what you want, yet often the last to act, not because you are weak, but because you require absolute certainty before moving forward. You observe, you think, you weigh, you hold, and you only step once everything feels right. But that very nature, when straying from your core energy, becomes the most dangerous trap of stagnation. And the 3 days from May 14th to 16th are exactly the phase where everything seems fine, but underneath, a misalignment is quietly severing the flow of money, power, and intuition, not through any wrong action, but through something almost invisible, color. Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of beauty, value, love, attraction, and money. But during this mid-May period, Venus is far from calm. It is being squared by Mars, the planet of action, impulsiveness, desire, and instinct. This creates a field of tension within you, between the self that knows what it needs, and a temporary craving pulling you in the wrong direction. You'll be prone to making decisions not from depth, but from reactive impulses. And if you are wearing a misaligned color, a shade that stirs up the wrong energy, you will act not from value, but from a void trying to be filled. And it doesn't stop there. During this exact cycle, Pluto, the planet of karma and deep transformation, is forming a trine to the moon. This might seem like a blessing, bringing emotional depth to the surface. But for Taurus, it's a double-edged sword. Because you do not enjoy emotional disruption. And when feelings arise, you will try to control them with silence, with stabilizing behavior. But if you wear the wrong color, one that triggers repressed emotional zones, your inner energy will morph into a silent block. You'll still smile. You'll still work. But you won't feel. And Taurus, once you stop feeling, you lose all motivation. Buddhism has a concept called awareness asleep in action. It means you're doing everything, but your mind is asleep. That is what the wrong color brings during these 3 days. You will continue living as usual but feel like everything has stopped. You'll still have money, but not feel value. You'll still love, but the connection fades. You'll still be respected, but feel isolated inside the very image you once built. And the strange thing is, you'll think nothing's wrong. Because Taurus is not the type to panic. When things go wrong, you don't run, you compress. But when you compress for too long, and the color you wear continues to feed that misaligned state, your magnetic field gets distorted. You start attracting people who no longer align. You invest at the wrong moment. You postpone opportunities calling your name. And it all doesn't begin with a big event, but with one wrong color choice. Nostradamus, in a rarely read handwritten scroll, once wrote, "When the keeper of gold wears the hue of old earth, fire will cease to come, and harvest will turn to ash." This was not written for anyone else but for Taurus. Because you are the keeper. You are where value is stored. But when the color you wear belongs to a past cycle that has already expired, you are blocking the flow of money and power that the universe is trying to send your way. For example, when you wear a taupe-colored shirt, seemingly elegant, refined, during May 14th to 16th, that dusty beige becomes a shade that drags your energy downward. It creates the illusion of rest but actually delays motion. Or you choose olive green because it feels safe, familiar, yet it's a color that locks you into the past, into what has already completed its energetic purpose. Or worse, you wear burnt orange. A color that seems bold, confident, radiant. But in truth, it tricks you. It tricks you into thinking you're being decisive, when actually, you're being driven by a shaky ego trying to mask uncertainty with intensity. Taurus, you don't need to redo everything. You just need to change where you start. And during these 3 days, that starting point is color. You don't need to find the light again, the light never left you. It's just been covered by a misaligned frequency. And that layer begins with the smallest thing you wear each day. If lately you felt fine but not joyful, full but not fulfilled, on plan but without rhythm, then please, don't think you're numb. You are not lost. You are simply being misdirected by the wrong color. And today, you've been warned. Part 2, 3 colors Taurus must absolutely avoid. The first of the 3 colors Taurus must avoid from May 14th to May 16th, 2025, dusty beige, a light grayish beige, muted and soft. There are colors that do not come to hurt you. They arrive gently, quietly, like a familiar memory. Like a thin blanket draped over your shoulders on a tired afternoon. Like a whisper saying, just stay. Don't do anything. You're fine. Dusty beige is precisely that. It doesn't provoke. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't push you in the wrong direction. It simply makes you stay too long in a place whose energy has already expired. And for Taurus, who naturally holds on, who lives through accumulated comfort, who thrives in known safety zones, dusty beige is not just the wrong color. It is a silent door that locks away the very motivation that once gave you life. In astrology, dusty beige carries the frequency of Venus when squared by Mars, a tense, compressed state in which inner value energy is pushed by outer impulsive forces. And that color doesn't inspire laziness, it clouds clarity. You think you're waiting for the right moment, more signs, more logic. But in truth, you are being gently sedated by a frequency that tells you to postpone your purpose. Dusty beige doesn't scare you. It doesn't trigger you. But it makes you shut down, internally. It turns down your joy. It mutes the urgency to live in alignment with your deepest values. Taurus is an earth sign. You need grounding. You need rhythm. But you also need gentle, forward movement. Without it, you start to accumulate thoughts, emotions, plans, and then sink into a quiet mountain of things you believe you'll do, yet never begin. And dusty beige takes you there perfectly. You're still polite. Still productive. Still presentable. But no longer burning with life. No longer lit with inner purpose. Nostradamus once wrote in a short passage, "When the keeper of gold wears the robe of ashes, fire will not recognize them and will go elsewhere." For Taurus, the most dangerous loss isn't money. It's the slow erosion of self, losing the will to protect your own sacred value. You'll continue replying to messages, attending meetings, signing contracts. But with your consciousness absent from everything you're doing, you won't know where it began. Until one day you open your wardrobe and whisper, "Why am I wearing so much dusty beige?" In Buddhism, there's a subtle but profound state called stagnation in goodness. It means you're not doing anything wrong, but you're also not evolving. And that stillness, though gentle, is karma. Not bad karma. But the karma of not engaging. Of standing still while the universe is moving forward. Dusty beige sustains that state. It makes you feel you're still good enough. But being enough is not the same as growing. Being regarded is not the same as shining. So take note, Taurus. Have you recently delayed an investment even though you knew the timing was right? Have you declined a relationship that wanted to grow because you weren't quite ready? Have you looked at your personal vision and said, later, only to let the weeks blur past? Then ask yourself, what color were you wearing that day? Perhaps a light beige shirt. A grayish beige jacket. Or maybe you were sitting in a workspace bathed in ash cream light. That's not a coincidence. That's the frequency you chose, unknowingly. You don't need to rush. But you must not stand still. And dusty beige is the color that makes you believe you're resting, when in truth, you're gently sinking. It lulls you with its neatness. But neatness is not living. It makes you respected. But being respected does not mean you are connected. It makes you composed, but composition is not joy. The next 3 days, May 14th, 15th, and 16th, are when you must absolutely avoid this color. Do not wear it. Do not set it as your phone background. Do not use it in your workspace. Do not keep any objects in dusty beige tones within sight. Replace them with colors like warm cream white to refresh your vibrational field, light jade green to reopen the action space from the heart, wine red to restore decisiveness, and sunlit yellow to bring life and clarity into every decision. And every morning, stand before the mirror. Place your hand over your heart. Look deeply into your own eyes and whisper, "I release false stillness. I choose motion with meaning." Just one sentence. But if it is spoken from the center of your being, it can reset your entire cycle of value. If you've ever delayed something important, if you've ever felt like you're moving but not flowing, if you've ever told yourself, "Maybe I just need more time," then please, comment, "I release dusty beige." This is your first act of commitment. The first ritual to help you escape the quiet trap of standing still while believing you're at peace. Taurus, you don't need to be hasty. But you do need to be honest. And color is the very first thing that redefines the true rhythm within you. The second color Taurus must absolutely avoid from May 14th to 16th, 2025, olive green, earthy moss green. There are colors that don't make you uncomfortable. In fact, they create a sense of comfort. A deceptive sense of safety. Like returning to a place you once knew. They make you think, "This is who I am." But that very familiarity is the most dangerous part, because it quietly locks you into an outdated version of yourself. Olive green. Earthy moss green. These are the shades that carry the frequency of the past that refuses to let go. And for Taurus, a sign already known for finding it difficult to release, this color makes you hold on even more tightly. Not because of nostalgia, but because of the illusion that you still need more time. In astrology, olive green is connected to Venus when influenced by Pluto in shadow, creating a state where loving energy and internal value are haunted by unresolved emotional archives. You are no longer living in the present, you are living in the echo of a former self. A fading vibration of what was. And the 3 days of May 14th to 16th are a highly sensitive time. If you wear this color, it will awaken every emotion you've shelved but never processed. You will think you are being loyal, but in reality, you are more afraid of losing the old than believing in the new. Taurus, yes, you are an earth sign. Yes, you love stability. But stability is not the same as repetition. And olive green makes you confuse the two. You begin to settle. You stay in jobs that no longer inspire you. You continue relationships where your heart no longer speaks. You hold on to items, routines, habits, not because they nourish you, but because they feel familiar. And every morning, this color whispers, you don't need to change yet. Just stay a little longer. Nostradamus once wrote, "He who clings to old soil where no more flowers grow will forget the seed still resting in his hand." This, Taurus, is not just a warning. It is a portrait of beautiful stagnation. You haven't worsened, you've simply stopped living in alignment with your original light. You are not broken, but you are no longer moving. And every choice you make during these 3 days, if rooted in the frequency of olive green, comes from a mindset that fears transformation. In Buddhism, this state is called attachment to old forms. You cling to familiar people, familiar places, familiar routines, and in doing so, you forget that your soul has already outgrown them. And here lies the truth, if you do not let go, new light cannot enter. Just like a dusty room cannot receive sunlight, even when the windows are wide open. If lately, you found yourself staying in a relationship even though you know deep down it's not right, using the excuse of karma to delay a breakup, rejecting new partnership opportunities because you say you're not ready, or feeling regret every time you think about letting go of an old habit. If you've been choosing outfits, colors, or ways of expressing yourself like you did 2 or 3 years ago, then it's very likely you're being held back by the frequency of olive green. Not because you lack a new path, but because you haven't yet accepted that the old door must close. And olive green is the final whisper that says, stay, just a little longer. Maybe things will be different. But Taurus, you've already outgrown that version. You no longer belong to what used to be enough. You are growing. You are expanding. But this color is trying to hold you back. In the next 3 days, you must absolutely stay away from olive green. Not just in clothing, but in every object you carry, bags, notebooks, phone backgrounds, shoes, personal accessories, even the plants near your meditation space. Because color isn't just visual. It's energetic. It's a current that flows directly into your heart chakra, influencing the very source from which you make decisions. And if that current comes from a vibration that has already decayed, you will unknowingly be building your future from the past. Instead, choose colors like light jade green, to reopen the pathway of new heart-centered connection. Lavender purple, to assist in gently letting go of karmic attachments. Soft cream white, to cleanse overlapping systems of value and outdated beliefs. Gentle rose clay pink, to summon compassion, and the courage to love again from a new beginning. And every morning, before stepping out the door, place your hand over your heart and whisper, I release the comfort of the past. I choose truth over familiarity. If you've ever held on to something because you thought, I've already invested too much, if you've believed, a little more time will fix this, if you've delayed walking away, turned down an opportunity, or said, it's not time yet, then please comment, I release olive green. This isn't just a declaration. It's the energetic key that unlocks your next chapter, the one where Taurus is no longer buried in old soil, but walking freely on the new ground that's been waiting for you all along. The third color Taurus must absolutely avoid from May 14th to May 16th, 2025, burnt orange, scorched earth orange. There are colors that do not lull you to sleep. They don't make you slow down or sit still. They do something even more dangerous. They push you to act, quickly, impulsively, from a place that does not truly belong to you. Burnt orange, scorched earth orange, these are colors that rise from the unhealed parts of the ego. They give you the illusion of becoming strong, passionate, decisive. But it is not authentic. It is not anchored in your center. The energy does not come from clarity, it comes from restlessness. And for Taurus, a sign built on patience, value, and wisdom, acting from the wrong source is the sharpest blade of all. Because not only does it lead you astray, it convinces you you're doing the right thing. Meanwhile, everything around you begins to unravel. Burnt orange is a high vibration color. It mimics movement. It gives the sensation of momentum. But that movement doesn't come from the heart, it comes from urgency. From the fear of being left behind. From the quiet panic that if you don't act now, you'll miss everything. In astrology, burnt orange resonates with the 10th square between Venus and Mars, when Taurus's ruling planet is pushed by Mars into artificial excitement. In this state, financial decisions, relationships, promises, and emotional leaps happen too fast, too strong, too soon, and they often leave behind silence, regret, or misalignment. You may find yourself wanting to shop more, sign contracts faster, jump into a new romance, not because it's right, but because it gives you the feeling that something is finally moving again. But that is the illusion. And when you wear burnt orange during these 3 energetically unstable days, you are no longer the calm, grounded Taurus. You are a Taurus trying to prove you're still in control, while deep down, you're being led by reaction, not truth. Nostradamus once wrote, "The keeper of gold, when dressed in the color of extinguished fire, will burn their own value in false light." Burnt orange is not evil. But in this time window, it becomes the spark that ignites a wildfire, not of growth, but of misdirected force. You will feel powerful. But that power, if misaligned, does not build, it consumes. And what it burns first is your own value. For Taurus, this is no metaphor. You are the sign of value, but only when you act from your center. When a false fire lights you up, you lose your sense of what's a true need versus what's just a reflex born of old wounds. You begin doing things just to do them. Showing off just to be seen. Spending money just to feel a moment of release. Loving someone just to fill a space. Everything appears intentional, but beneath the surface, your value system is being scorched from within. In Buddhism, this is known as delusional action, action taken while dreaming. You're not asleep, but you are dreaming while awake. And that is when karma is made. Not loud, dramatic karma, but subtle, binding links. Small threads of misalignment that, day by day, pull you away from the light. Burnt orange is the color of fire after it has passed its peak. It no longer holds vitality. But it still carries enough warm ash to deceive you, to trick you into believing there's something here worth trusting. That warmth, Taurus, is only the lingering heat of energy that has already run out. When you wear this color, you emit the frequency of someone trying to revive a tired ego. And those around you will sense it. Even if they can't explain it, they will feel it. They'll see you as energetic, but not grounded. They'll sense your urgency but question your direction. They'll hear you speak with all the right words, but they won't walk with you. And you'll be left wondering why you're doing everything right and still feel disconnected. Taurus, you do not need more fire. What you need is light. And light does not come from uncontrolled motion. It arises from inner peace, from stable knowing. And burnt orange is what blocks that light right now. In the next 3 days, May 14th, 15th, and 16th, do not let this color touch your body. No clothing. No dresses. No shoes. No bags or accessories. Not even the lighting in your room or the wallpaper on your phone. Because even a single leak of this frequency can distort your action chakra, the energy center from which decisions are born. Instead, replace it with restorative shades. Soft, bright white to cleanse your intentions. Emerald green to stabilize value-driven actions. Deep ocean blue to calm urgency and hasty thoughts. Lavender purple to reconnect with your intuitive guidance. And every morning, place your hand on your lower belly, the center of action, and whisper slowly. Steadily, I act from calm knowing. Not from noise. Not from fear. If you've ever made a rushed decision and regretted it, bought something you didn't need just to soothe a feeling, dated someone only to avoid being alone, or invested in something that made you anxious night after night, then comment, I release burnt orange. This is not a weak confession. This is a bold declaration. A signal to the universe that you are done chasing feelings, and ready to live from your true core again. And that is where Taurus always belongs, the land of real value, real light, and real decisions, not to impress others, but to remain true to yourself. Part 3, 7 Signs Taurus is being affected by the wrong color. Not all misalignments begin with a major upheaval. Some begin with something very small. Very quiet. Very gentle. A shade you accidentally choose. A fabric that simply looks nice. A dim light in your room that soothes your eyes but gradually drains your will to move forward. For Taurus, who lives by certainty, steadfastness, and inner alignment, color doesn't crash into your life like a storm. It seeps in like water into the earth. Slowly. Almost invisibly. Until one day, you look in the mirror and no longer understand why you don't feel like yourself. The signs that you are being influenced by the wrong color rarely arrive with chaos. They arrive as subtle misalignments. Hard to name. Easy to dismiss. But if left unrecognized, they pull you further and further from your center, that powerful place where you once knew exactly who you are, what you need, and why you live the way you do. The first sign is this. You no longer feel the urge to act like before. You still have goals. You still have dreams. But you unconsciously procrastinate. You tell yourself maybe tomorrow. You put things off. You wait, even though deep down, you know if you just started, you would succeed. This is a clear sign of dusty beige covering your action zone. It makes you believe you're resting, when in truth, you're paralyzed. You're still awake, but you're no longer moving. You're still alive, but no longer shining. And the reason eludes you, because that color doesn't just dull your energy, it blurs even your awareness of misalignment. The second sign is that you begin to overprotect things that are no longer effective, relationships that have grown cold, habits that no longer serve your growth. But you keep them. Not out of love, but out of familiarity. You start to fear change, even though deep down, you know it's inevitable. Olive green activates the fear of losing your roots. It makes you confuse loyalty with self-imprisonment. You stay, not because you still love, but because you believe that if you let go, you'll be left with nothing. That's when you lose your own courage and convince yourself that it's safer to stay in a land whose season has already passed. The third sign is that you feel like you're acting, but no longer feel the value of what you do. You work, you communicate, you fulfill your responsibilities. You play your role well. But after every task, you feel tired. Empty. Like you've done something, but gained nothing. That's when burnt orange begins to control the instinctual zone, pushing you to act without wisdom. You make decisions out of fear of being left behind. You respond to urgency. And each time, it feels like you've traveled far, but returned empty-handed. The fourth sign is that you notice others no longer respond the way they used to. You speak, but people don't truly listen. You make offers, but they are received with hesitation. You bring good things to the table, but no one seems to appreciate them deeply. It's not that you've done anything wrong. It's because the wrong color is distorting your energetic field. Your signal is misaligned. You're speaking, but your frequency isn't resonating, and that creates confusion in your heart. You begin to wonder, is it me, or has the world stopped needing what I offer? The fifth sign is that your relationship with yourself begins to fade. You're no longer sure what you truly want. You can't tell if your decisions come from genuine desire or old emotional wounds. You feel like you're still living, but no longer living with purpose. This is the state Buddhism calls subtle delusion, a life on autopilot. You appear awake, but you're being led by unprocessed emotions. You haven't lost your power, but it's buried under a fog. The sixth sign is the contradiction between external success and internal emptiness. You're dressing well. You're meeting expectations. People respect you. But you feel isolated, like you're standing just outside your own life. Dusty beige makes you seem reasonable, but no longer resonant. Olive green makes you feel safe, but no longer vibrant. Burnt orange gives you a false confidence, but leaves you hollow inside. And this contradiction, being praised on the outside while fading on the inside, starts to erode your intuition. The very gift that once made you powerful. And the seventh sign, the deepest and hardest to recognize, is this. You begin to feel unworthy of better things. You see opportunities. Invitations. New directions. But instead of excitement, you feel hesitation. You tell yourself, maybe it's not meant for me. I need more time. Others are better suited. But that's not humility. That's the wrong color lowering your inner awareness. Dimming your belief in your own light. A light that, in truth, has never left you. If you recognize yourself in any of these 7 signs, please don't rush to blame yourself. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are simply misaligned. And that can be corrected, starting with the simplest, most powerful act, choosing the right color. Put away everything that carries dusty beige, olive green, or burnt orange. Choose instead colors that brighten your core frequency. Cream white, for renewal and clarity. Jade green, for intuitive reconnection. Lavender purple, for gentle emotional release. Light cream yellow, to awaken joy and gratitude. Each morning, place your hand over your heart and whisper, I remember my light. Each evening, ask yourself, did I live today from my center, or from fear? And if these words are not just words to you, if they feel like a quiet knock on a door that has been closed inside you for too long, then leave a small promise below this video. A line. A word. A breath of intention. Something to say. I'm coming back to myself. Because Taurus, you were never meant to live in hesitation. You were born to carry value. To build. To grow. And now, it's time to shine again. I recognize the signs. That is how you tell the universe, I have seen myself. And when Taurus sees themselves, truly, clearly, the world no longer dares to ignore that light. Part 4, How to Clear and Restore the Light. For Taurus, no misalignment is permanent. No wrong color is strong enough to dim, forever, the original light you were born with. Taurus doesn't need anyone to teach them how to be grounded. You are the symbol of stability itself. But even an ancient tree must have its withered branches pruned. It needs more light. It needs to be watered at its roots, so that the vital sap can rise again. And the 3 days from May 14th to May 16th are exactly the time for you to do just that, to water the energetic roots of your being. Not through big decisions, but through small, aligned actions. Actions like removing colors that no longer belong to you, and reigniting each frequency point that has been forgotten. The first and non-negotiable step is this: completely remove the 3 disruptive colors, dusty beige, olive green, and burnt orange. Do not think of them as just colors. They are vibrational waves. They emit frequency from your memory field. They reopen old emotional layers. They trigger behavioral loops that no longer belong to you. During these 3 days, even one shirt, one pair of shoes, or one small object is enough to pull you back into a drained version of Taurus you once struggled so hard to outgrow. Letting them go is not denial, it is a quiet ritual of closing a completed cycle. After their removal, the next step is to choose again, not to decorate, but to recalibrate. During these 3 days, prioritize tones that carry deep healing frequencies for Taurus. Ivory white, to cleanse your action field. Jade green, to awaken your intuitive investment center. Soft earthy pink, to reconnect with compassion and gratitude. Creamy sunlit yellow, to bring solar energy back to your internal stability zone. These are not just colors that match your birth element. They are tones that restore you to your truest values, the space where your choices were once precise, steady, and deeply aligned. Next, purify your living space and your action zone. Taurus is more energetically sensitive to environment than you often realize. Choose one morning between May 14th and 16th. Open all windows. Burn a sandalwood bundle. If you don't have one, simply sprinkle a handful of sea salt lightly across the floor. Let it sit for 10 minutes. Then clean the space using warm water mixed with a few drops of fresh lemon juice. This is not superstition, it is subtle energy cleansing. It clears stagnant fields and lets fresh air circulate through your home and spirit. Then, place a citron or clear quartz near your work area to stabilize both financial clarity and inner light. These crystals are allies, silent supporters of your magnetic field. At the same time, perform a short inner ritual, a 7-minute morning meditation, using only one mantra. Sit upright. Place your palms downward on your knees. Close your eyes. Breathe gently. Whisper silently. I reclaim my rhythm. I act only from what is real. Every repetition of that phrase calls your rhythm back from wherever it's been scattered. No need to sit for long, just 7 minutes a day will re-anchor you in your center. The same center from which you once made decisions the world respected. In addition, handwrite on a single piece of paper something you've been delaying. It could be a business idea. A relationship that needs closure. A new habit. A plan that must begin. Write it down as if you were speaking to the version of yourself from 1 year ago, and send them a letter. You do not need to share it with anyone. Just read it aloud once. Then fold it and place it beneath your pillow for 3 nights. This is a ritual to restore your direction chakra, to help you remember the real reason you once began. Because Taurus, when you remember a strong enough reason, no color can hold you back. And finally, the most sacred step, say goodbye to your old self. Not with pain. Not with tears, but with peace. Stand in front of a mirror. Place your hand on your chest. Look deeply into your own eyes and say, "Thank you for protecting me all this time. But now, I have grown. I choose to move forward, with a light that is no longer dimmed." When you finish, smile. That smile is the closing ritual. And when you do it, you will feel something stir inside. Something that had long been sleeping will rise again. The light. The fire. The rhythm. The Taurus that the world cannot ignore. Something without a name, but very real. If you feel that these steps are more than just advice, but currents of energy weaving through places inside you that you thought had gone numb, then please leave a small commitment below this video. Not for me, but for yourself. I reclaim my rhythm. I live for my truth. And if you feel ready to begin again, not with noise, not by trying too hard, but with a steady, honest rhythm, then like, subscribe to Buddhist Daily Wisdom, and share this video as a small gift for another Taurus, someone who may be living stable enough, without ever realizing they were always meant to live brilliantly. And if you've made it to the very end of this journey, if you're still quietly here, not just to listen, but to feel, to sense yourself shifting on the inside, then I know the Taurus I'm speaking to is no longer the Taurus of the past. You are no longer the one who delays what you know deep down. No longer the one who wears the same old habits just because the new ones aren't yet fully clear. No longer the one who holds on to what's already lifeless just to avoid the discomfort of letting go. From this moment on, you are no longer being guided by stagnation disguised as logic. You've returned, not with fanfare, not with a grand announcement, but with the silent agreement of your soul when it recognizes, "I no longer belong in the shell I once called safety." And that is the greatest awakening of a Taurus, when you begin to step out of the old land without anyone needing to push. Taurus was born to preserve, but you were not born to be stuck. You were born with a steady light, a subtle current that calms even the most chaotic places. But that light doesn't come from stillness. It comes from certainty in motion, a slow but firm rhythm, a quiet but precise step, a steadfastness that is not rigid, a love that is not dependent. And that is who you are, when you align with the right frequency, when you don't let any color distort the original rhythm inside you, when you remember you don't need to add anything more to be enough, you only need to stop carrying what no longer belongs to the version of you that has grown. Nostradamus once wrote, "Power does not come from the one who holds the throne, but from the one who dares to leave the old throne and build a new kingdom, where worth is not inherited by blood, but illuminated by light." Taurus, you don't need to fight. You only need to stop compromising with what has already outlived its purpose. And that refusal, even in silence, is enough for the universe to hear. Enough for opportunities you thought had passed to come back. Enough for money that once slowed down to start flowing again. Enough for those who turned away to look back, because they can feel a completely new Taurus emerging. Not because you changed your appearance, but because you are finally living from within. And if you truly feel something inside you has just awakened, a slight tremble in the heart, a steadier beat in your chest, a sense that light just slipped through a very old crack in the door, then leave this simple commitment beneath the video: I have returned to my truth. Because from now on, you're no longer searching for clarity outside. You found it again, right here in this very breath. Tap like if you feel these words are not just information, but a mirror reflecting the path you've been walking through. Subscribe to Buddhist Daily Wisdom if you know there are still deeper layers within you waiting to be unlocked. And share this video as a ritual of sending this awakening frequency to the Taurus collective that's been living fine, without knowing they were always meant to be radiant. Taurus doesn't need fire. Taurus only needs to remember the light they once forgot. And today, that light has returned in you. And because you chose it, this world will begin to shift, little by little, from that very quiet homecoming.